guys, so we're back, and just like you saw from our last episode, we're gonna keep going with a lot of the modifications that are gonna help us keep this a budget-friendly drift car. Nikki already got it started and switched the car over to some field coilovers. The car was on blown suspension the first time, so it was very difficult to drive. Now I'm gonna take care of the front end and show you how you're able to use a E46 control arm on an E36 in the case that you really don't have the budget for an angle kit. A few things to remember is that you're not gonna wanna use E46M arms. The spindles on them that actually fit into the hub are a little bit too big unless you wanna modify the hub, which we don't recommend. So use non-M E46 arms, and then you're gonna basically pair those up with our lollipops that allow for an E46 insert. That way you don't have to grind, the actual hex size on the control arm. So before we really came out with these, guys were grinding these things to get them to work. That's really not necessary. Use our parts, and everything is boltable and removable and serviceable in the case that obviously you get hit with one of these things. You could just swap out with another arm without having to grind. So let's stop talking and start working. So to remove the control arm, it's actually very simple. We're just gonna have to disconnect this sway bar end link. Then there's gonna be a larger bolt that holds the control arm onto the spindle. And then there's a tie rod. And then these two 17 millimeters for your control arm. And then the hardest one is really the one that's up here, just because it's kind of tucked in there, especially if you're doing this on the ground. And it basically holds the control arm to the subframe. So that's basically it. Then we're gonna be able to remove the whole thing as a unit and install our unit. So I'm gonna stop yapping and start working. I don't think it's supposed to be that loose. So what we're gonna need to do to release this tie rod right here is we're gonna have to use a ball joint separator, basically, type of tool. So safety glasses, cover your eyes, cover your balls. Safety glasses. So this is the tool that I'm talking about. It's gonna really make your life easier. You really don't wanna hit that with a hammer. I mean, if you're trackside and you absolutely have to, just make sure that the nut is all the way at the very top so you're not mushrooming this. Basically, it just fits just like that. Put a little bit of tension on this side. Just like that. Now it's just sitting there like that. Then you take off that last remaining thread. Right, so tie rod's out of the way. These are pretty tired. We're probably gonna replace them. Pretty soon. They should not have that much play in them, so. Once you disconnect that, then you can just move the whole thing up from both sides. This bigger one on here is gonna be a 19 millimeter. It's kind of hard to fit one of the air tools or anything like that with this, the actual field coilovers right there, but see if we can break it loose with this. Also suspiciously loose. Cool. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Yeah, these are due. All right, so we managed to pull one side out. I mean, these things were blown. These things were really gone. A lot of the hardware was like just loose too. I mean, things happen when you're at events, gotta always use blue Loctite. We didn't find any blue Loctite on this. Obviously, we bought the car like this. So I'm gonna start on the other side, and then depending on how it goes, maybe we'll pop in a front subframe. It looked like there was damage on one side, so. So we're gonna go ahead and start by replacing these tie rods with our extended versions. We do sell standard versions of these bump steer tie rods. And the whole idea is basically it's an arm that replaces this, and you can see it's a little bit longer than the original, especially to make up for the fact that we're running E46 control arms on this particular car to increase, track width or to add angle for drift if you're, setting up a car for drift. So these are pretty simple. They completely bolt on. They are complete direct replacements. This, is a machined exact taper fit, so you don't have to modify your spindle at all, which is really nice because, if you end up having to replace this trackside, you don't want to have to keep that drill bit and hog that out. This is exactly how the OEM geometry was, so we did the same thing. So these are really easy to change out. We're going to mark where it is right now. Not that it's going to matter too much. We're going to have to realign the car, but it will give us a point on where to stop when we come to thread this on. So easy peasy. Let's do it. Always a good idea to add a little bit of anti-seize. That way the corrosion, doesn't really get between the threads. We use Loctite, but any anti-seize will really help so that the next person who services this, which is probably you, it'll be easier. So now you're going to install our treehouse style arms. Again, these are your centered version. You're going to need that for the E46 conversion. And it basically just pops on. We're going to go ahead and push it on first. We're going to hammer it, and that way at least that will help when we're getting it in there. You don't want to do this after the fact. So I recommend definitely putting the middle one in first. That one can be the most difficult. But leave it loose, that way you can kind of like rotate and it'll help you hold it. Especially if you're doing this on the ground, it could really be difficult. So what you're going to notice at this point is that in most cases, the sway bar end links, you could put them back, but you're really pushing the sway bar super up high to do that, and it kind of makes the sway bar basically inefficient. The sway bar should be parallel with the ground, regardless of setup. Otherwise, it's not really doing anything. It's almost like the car starts to lean before it engages the sway bar. So sway bar has to be parallel to the ground. That's why BMW in their later model cars, starting even with the E30 M3, they actually went to the adjustable end links. In that case, you can either weld the adjustable end link mount on your stock housing, but most aftermarket coilovers, like this feel, already actually give you a mount already pre-welded in there. So it's just a matter of going on our website, giving us the length, and we can get you an adjustable end link to put you back in range. So later on our final assembly, we'll kind of get into that. You'll kind of see that we do switch over from these small, tiny, non-adjustable end links to adjustable end links for that reason. Other than that, it's looking pretty good. We're going to go ahead and start to boot Loctite everything and torque everything to spec. We'll be done with this side, and then we'll finish the other side. So, looking pretty good. so there you have it. That was incredibly easy to drift compared to the first time that we actually did that. So the fields, obviously, they're meant for this. So that was already a considerable improvement. But the increased track width and actual negative camber in the front, you instantly feel that. You can hear it in the modulation of the throttle when I'm doing little tiny circles on our closed racetrack, obviously. I don't know what the U-Haul was doing there. That's we got to tell them to get off the racetrack. This is a closed circuit in Mexico. But other than that, I think it's going to be good. So we're going to put it back on the rack, do some bolt checks, some maintenance, align it. And next episode, you should see us at the track. So we're going to be drifting with other human beings for the first time. So we'll see how that goes. Stay tuned in.
What happened was something moved and caught one of the fins on the clutch band, and once that happens, it basically destroys the clutch band.